The first thing you have to understand is that the SAT tests reading. I'll focus only on the critical reading part, right? The SAT tests reading skills, and so you don't need to start studying the SAT test in order to start doing and preparing for the SAT test, right? So in our classes, we have academic English classes for students in 8th and 9th and even going down to 7th grade, where we start giving them the basic skills that they need to understand complex reading and start building up their vocabulary starting from a very early age. And so when they go and start studying the actual SAT test, they will already have that foundation. And because of that, doing well on the test and improving on the test would take them a lot less time. You should also realize that the TOEFL and the SAT, although they are separate tests, they are not testing completely separate skills. Both of them test your ability to understand academic English or high-level English. The only difference is that the SAT asks for that, plus a little bit about your analytical ability, so your ability to understand somewhat more complex uses of language, for example. So if you start studying SAT first, you're basically, I'll use an analogy, it might be easier. Okay, fine. Let's say you want to play basketball, right? You want to become a good basketball player. And so you think that, well, dribbling is an easy skill, whereas slam dunking is a much more difficult skill. So therefore, I should probably start slam dunking first instead of dribbling. Yeah, everyone knows baseball, right? Basketball, right? So yeah, slam dunking is when you jump up and you throw the ball into the hoop, right? It's a very difficult skill, right? But if you don't have the basic dribbling skills, you're never going to become a star basketball player, no matter how good your slam dunking ability is, right? You just can't stand on the court and then wait for someone to pass the ball to you and then slam dunk. Yeah. Similarly, I should probably have used soccer or something.
Yeah.
Similarly, you just can't say, oh, SAT critical reading is a much more difficult skill, so I will start studying that. If you have no foundations, then you will not see your score move up very far. So if you, normally people with very low English foundations will start around 350 for their SAT score, right? And if they don't work on improving their foundations, they will go up to maybe about 450 or perhaps even 500. But if they're aiming for 650, which is now the average in all of our SAT classes, if they're even, so there's going to be very little chance for them to get that far in a short amount of time. So there we go. So in terms of the skill building, you can start at a very early age for the SAT, but don't start doing tons and tons of practice tests when you are in 7th grade.